Good afternoon. I'm Laureen Garrod, Director of the TV Division at Reed Meadham. Welcome to today's first Media Mastermind Keynote. As you know, YouTube is the world's most popular online video community, allowing more than 1 billion people to discover, watch, and share originally created videos. Last night, YouTube was awarded the Pioneer Prize at the International Digital Emmy Awards for its huge contribution to digital entertainment. The award was presented to none other than today's first keynote, Alex Carlos, Global Head of Entertainment at YouTube. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Alex and the YouTube team for being here at MIPTV and for being a founding partner of the first MIP Digital Fronts, which start tomorrow morning, and which are the first ever international screenings dedicated to original online video. Before joining YouTube in 2011, Alex was head of digital distribution at Paramount and previously held positions at Warner and Disney. Alex is responsible for managing all facets of YouTube's entertainment strategy, content partnerships, and transactional businesses globally. Please join me in giving a very, very warm welcome to Alex Carlos. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Bonjour. I love coming to MIPTV and seeing such familiar faces. To me, this conference represents a moment in time, an opportunity for the content community to come together and have a meaningful conversation about the future of programming, to think about innovative show formats, to discuss new distribution patterns, to share ideas. And this is a conversation in which video, technology, and platforms like YouTube are beginning to play a major role. Walking the market, I've been struck by the range and diversity of businesses actively engaged in this conversation, from major studios to broadcasters to distributors, TV producers, and genuine digital enterprises. And today I'm proud to call these companies and many more like them YouTube partners. All are building hugely popular channels across all kinds of categories: music and comedy, lifestyle and gaming, sports and news, kids and learning. And though they're walking different paths on YouTube to realize success, one message remains the same through all their stories. Our partners have discovered the value of building a fan base to supercharge their businesses. Notice I didn't say audience. So what's the difference between an audience and a fan base? Well, for those of us at YouTube, it comes down to passion. An audience tunes in when they're told to. A fan base chooses when and what to watch. An audience sits back and consumes media. A fan base leans forward and wants to participate. An audience changes the channel when their show is over. A fan base shares, it comments, it curates, it creates. An audience lives within your borders, and a fan base breaks those borders down. YouTube is a platform built by and for fans to meet global consumer demand for choice across every genre imaginable. But the power of choice isn't just in the hands of the fans who expect this limitless programming. It's in your hands too. To make a choice to give fans what they want, and by doing so, build a global fan base. So today, I'd like to share with you 4 ways that fans have begun to reshape media. Right now in America, there's a lot of discussion about the competition within late-night programming. For years, Letterman and Leno dueled for control of a large and coveted TV audience. And the late-night wars were fought on just 2 networks during just 1 time slot. But today, the battlefield has completely shifted. Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Conan O'Brien have all realized that the size of their late-night audience had peaked. Between cable, on-demand, and online video, they're no longer competing with each other. They're competing with every other source of entertainment too. And they've realized that if they're going to succeed, they have to find new audiences younger audiences that don't necessarily spend their nights in front of the TV. So they've turned to YouTube. And they've created easily shareable sketches that have a life well beyond their time slot. Clips that get consumed the way younger audiences increasingly consume, on the go, at any time of day. And it's working. In mid-February, Jimmy Fallon took over for Jay Leno as the new host of The Tonight Show. 10 million people tuned in to his debut, which is a pretty big audience. But the views on YouTube for that same first show, double that. 20 million views. In fact, in the first 2 weeks of his show, his channel generated 90 million views on YouTube, at times averaging upward of 10 million views a day, thanks to clips like this. I wonder if there's still room in the market for a middle-aged British rapper. Take Conan O'Brien, the tall one with the big mop of red hair, himself a former Tonight Show host. So he's uploaded nearly 3,000 videos on his YouTube channel, and he's just celebrated over 500 million views on YouTube. And Jimmy Kimmel, well, let's just say he gets it. He loves a good prank. He's Olympic pranked. He's Oscar pranked. He's twerk pranked. He spent personal time with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. He's T-Pain auto-tuned Barack Obama. And for the last 3 years, he's generated over 108 million views on a challenge where he asks parents to upload their kids' reactions when they pretend they've eaten the Halloween candy. 108 million. That's over 16 times the number of people who watched the same segments on TV. And just last month, he launched #KimmelYouTubeFilm, which was a series of hilarious post-Oscar uploads that mash up Hollywood all-time classics with YouTube classic memes. So to illustrate, here's Thor's Chris Hemsworth and his brother Liam in Bitman Begins.
Doesn't have to be like this. I trusted you. I was only a child. You were an animal. Look at my hand. You stay back. Or God have mercy on what I might do to you. Mercy? You hear that, God? He wants mercy. After what he did. Charlie bit me. Charlie bit my finger. God! Oh, Charlie, that really hurt.
Kimmel now has a tribe of over 4 million on a channel with over 1 billion views. And we know from research we've done with Nielsen that as consumption of a show's content goes up on YouTube, so do its TV ratings. YouTube is truly complementary. So the first way fans are reshaping media is clear. Fans ignore time slots. They choose to watch your content when they want, and by making the choice to create memorable, shareable content, you build your brand dramatically. Now, Ellen DeGeneres has taken a slightly different approach on her show. By tracking down the stars of YouTube's most popular clips and bringing them on air, Ellen celebrates water cooler moments, and she creates stars out of the talent she's found. Sophia Grace and Rosie were discovered on YouTube by Ellen in 2011. And since then, they've made over 50 appearances on her show. In fact, the girls are so popular to both YouTube and TV audiences that Ellen recently announced she's developing an entire show around them. Ellen's fans, her 8.9 million fans, are a huge source of inspiration for the show. But there's someone who knows even more than Ellen about discovering talent. And there's another lesson, which is never disrespect a cat lover. Simon Cowell's latest talent brand is YouGeneration, and it lives only on YouTube, and it works much differently than what we've seen on X Factor or Idol. Every month, a new challenge is announced. Fans get encouraged to submit their videos only through YouTube, and then the winners face off to become the world's next superstar. And it's a global competition that can only exist on a platform like YouTube. So through YouGeneration, Simon Cowell has made the choice to tap in to the second way media is being reshaped. Fans become talent. Now, one of the most incredible trends on YouTube is the fan tribute song. As many of you know, this year's most successful movie so far is Disney's Frozen, with over $1 billion at the global box office. Frozen has become Disney's highest-grossing original animated film to date. It's bigger than The Lion King, it's bigger than Toy Story, and to generate that kind of box office success, you have to have one very special thing: staying power. If you look at Frozen's box office, you'll notice the movie did something incredibly rare. It debuted at number 2, and then it grew to top the box office the following week. It fell out of the number 1 spot for 3 weeks, only to reclaim it 6 weeks later. Now, there are a lot of factors that contribute to a run like this, not least of which is a terrific movie. But one factor was Disney's decision to let fans express their passion on YouTube. You see, immediately after Frozen's release, we saw many fans upload their own covers of the now Oscar-winning song, Let It Go, including this tribalized version from singer Alex Boyer, featuring Lexi Walker. It's way too infectious a song, so I didn't want to play too much of it. But the video, which is from the UK, has generated over 30 million views. And it's interesting to note that after the US, the second and third largest markets for viewing is the Philippines and South Korea. Who knew? It's also received over 382,000 likes, and it's been shared over 110,000 times. And it's that kind of global engagement that is so incredible. Now, the studio could very easily have issued copyright claims against this video and the many others and had them taken down. But they made a different choice. They made a fan-friendly choice. They chose to let those videos stay and to let users share them and create new ones, to let their fans build a community around the movie. And that's the third way fans are reshaping media. Fans pay tribute to your content. And creators everywhere can make the same choice that Disney did. Allow fans to pay tribute, and you will see the incredible benefits of their passion. Today, no one cares where content comes from, as long as it is good. In fact, more than 60% of our creators' views on YouTube come from outside of their home country. And for some creators, it's even more. 97% of Juste pour rire or Just for Laughs views come from outside its home country of Canada. Chef Rob Nixon receives 15 times the viewership outside of Australia, where he resides. British creators Jack's Gap see over 80% of their views coming from outside the UK. And over 73% of views from Spanish DIY channel Oh Mother Mine come from outside of Spain. YouTube also helps millions of people stay connected to their culture. It's how 25 million non-resident Indians access their favorite Bollywood movies. It's how the 27 million strong Russian language diaspora enjoy their favorite TV shows from broadcaster Channel 1. And it's how a British expat living in LA can get his news from the BBC and his cooking tips from Jamie Oliver. YouTube is global. Which leads us to this guy and his song, almost 2 billion views. It's a staggering number, but I believe Gangnam Style's legacy is even more impressive. In 2011, before Gangnam Style premiered, the number of views that Korean pop generated was just over 2 billion. Today, 7 billion. Before Gangnam Style, 60% of K-pop videos were watched in Asia. Today, the lion's share of people watching K-pop videos live outside of Asia, 91% of them outside of Korea. In a world where just under 80 million people speak Korean, 25 million of whom live inside North Korea, a country with the lowest internet penetration on Earth, South Korea was able to develop a phenomenon so powerful that today K-pop is a $5 billion industry. For so long, language has served as this barrier between cultural exchange, especially in countries that didn't speak English or French or Spanish. But thanks to the power of video and the internet, those barriers are breaking down entirely. And that's the final way fans are reshaping media today. Fans blur borders. And through YouTube, creators can make the choice to share their content with fans all over the world. It's how a French gymnastic movement, parkour, came to be featured in the latest James Bond movies. It's how a Filipino singer, Charisse, appeared on Oprah, who called her the most talented girl in the world. And that's how a Swedish gamer, PewDiePie, or Felix to his friends, single-handedly built the most popular channel on YouTube with 25 million subscribers. People are hungry to discover new content. Content that excites them, that challenges them, that educates and inspires them. And that's the power of YouTube, and that's the power of the fan. Fans ignore time slots, fans become talent, fans pay tribute, and fans blur borders. 4 ways fans are reshaping media today. The opportunities are here, and the power of choice is in your hands to connect your content vision to fans around the world. Thank you. While we set up, I'll quickly introduce the next segment. Founded 20 years ago as a small punk zine in Montreal, Canada, Vice has since exploded into a multimedia empire, which produces and distributes some of the best video content in the world. As a global youth brand, Vice is now in 36 countries and operates a network of digital channels, a TV and feature film production studio, a magazine, a record label, and a book publishing division. Please welcome CEO and co-founder of Vice Media, as well as the host of the HBO series by the same name, Shane Smith.
How are you, buddy?
Nice to see you.
It's very misty in here.
Okay,
Mysterious.
let me unlock my cheat sheet.
All right. I'm ready to go.
Okay. So we just, actually I'll ignore it for a second. We've just been talking about how, well I have, about how fans are reshaping media. And you know, the Vice portfolio is just a wonderful portfolio of brands, from Noisy to Thump to Motherboard, Munchies, Vice itself, and most recently Vice News. Can you speak to how the fans of Vice and these brands, how you're engaging them in your programming and your brand choices?
I think news is an interesting example of that, because when we started on YouTube, there's a conception in America anyway, young people aren't interested in news. Young people aren't interested in international events. You know, make it short, make it snackable, don't make it serious. And what we found on YouTube was, which is the most democratic sort of video sharing platform in the world, that our audience was telling us, actually, no, we want news, we want long form, we want documentaries.
Right.
And so, you know, we have hundreds and hundreds of millions of video views and subscribers, millions and millions of subscribers who are telling us, we want news, so we launched Vice News.
Actually, I now remember that when you made, Vice launched a video about tardigrade.
Correct.
And that, which was a strange.
Does anyone know what that is?
Yeah.
It's a space cow that lives in space. It can live in space.
Right.
So it started a whole thing that the first life was actually alien life on Earth. And so it started a huge thing.
And it was so it was the most obscure and fascinating topic, and that was the video that I think Vice on YouTube decided to move from a kind of, you know, very short form, 3 to 4 minutes, to something much longer form, which was much truer to its brand.
Correct, yeah.
So, and there's a segment of Vice News, or there's a format rather, called, is it People Speak?
Yeah, People Speak. What we did when we started news was we actually asked the audience, what do you want? What do you want to see? And they responded to us, and we found it so inspiring that we made a little video clip of it, which I think
Shall we show it? Yeah. Should we roll the tape?
We've been going around the world talking to people about the big issues that matter to them and how they want the news to cover them.
London, England.
Mexico City.
Beirut, Tel Aviv.
Tokyo, Japan.
If you want to tell us what you think is important, you can do it with hashtag Vice News.
My parents' generation grew up with broadcast TV, 3 stations, 3 news anchors.
And that's the way it is.
We don't have 3 channels, we have 3,000 channels.
There's a revolution going on in the media right now, and you need to be a part of it.
The way that people are getting their news is evolving every day, and that's not even an exaggeration.
This generation is so bombarded with information, it's very difficult to look back and understand what this means.
Budgets are being cut, newspapers are closing down.
Standard news channel, there's maybe like 5 or 6 stories rolling each day, and that can't be all that's going on.
You find that people actually have a lot more in common than that which divides us. But you wouldn't know that when you listen to our politicians speak or when you listen to the mainstream media who are so interested in talking about what separates us.
We should do something about it.
Now with the help of technology and social media and the new means of communication, it has become easier for a person to express himself loud.
You can really get your voice out there, not just to your own country, but to the whole world.
I hate hearing that my generation is lazy. There are absolutely people my age around the world that feel the same way that I do.
The internet, the new tools on our disposal, the revolutions, the uprisings, these are all methods towards changing the way people access information, gather information.
Every day, brings with it new adventures and new stories.
The true stories, not just what the government and other media platforms want to show.
I think information must be free. It's very important for us.
Everything that's going on around us, we care about it, we care about our futures.
Part of being an adult is engaging with the world.
I think there's an opportunity here to really engage young people in news again.
News is all about what's happening with the humankind, what's happening in the human condition.
We all have the chance to interact with each other and learn about each other's lives. This is how the modern world works across the globe.
Let us know how you think we should cover the news with hashtag Vice News.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
How's it doing? And when did you launch it?
So, well, we just launched it 3 weeks ago, and in 3 weeks we've had 300,000 subscribers and over 20 million video views. So it's been
superb.
It's been great, and that we haven't even sort of started pushing it yet because we didn't know if everything would work. But it's the power of YouTube.
And in that video, I heard somebody talk about a new way of accessing, but also gathering news information. Can you speak to? There's a disruption going on. And that word's used quite a lot, but it feels like you're changing the way content is gathered and surfaced. I mean, how many reporters or contributors do you have around the world?
We have 4,000 contributors around the world, and what's really changing? There's a kid named Tim Poole who works for us, and he was actually the first to live stream using Google Glass. But he does phones as well. We did Taksim and Tahrir Square with him. And it's a revolution because young people can just live stream with no commentary. You can say, look, here it is. This is what's happening. You can make the decision for yourself because people are quite intelligent. We don't have to say, this is what this means, 3 people died today and this is what this means, good night. You can actually just live stream it and show it. I think that's a big change. I also think that it's not a monologue. Now it's a dialogue. Yeah. We got a lot of praise for our coverage of Crimea, of Ukraine, Venezuela, Thailand. All of those were people in those countries saying, come here, we have something happening that you need to tell the story.
Yeah, fascinating. So let's switch to Vice's place in the media world. You've been quoted as describing, the Vice's North Star, I suppose, as being CNN, ESPN and MTV all combined.
Correct.
Quite a large set of brands clustered together, but that's how you compare yourself. So how do you reconcile that whilst at the same time being a digital-first company?
Yeah, I think that if you look at ESPN, CNN, MTV, they were the sort of benchmarks of the cable revolution. And now with online, And if you look at actually some of the numbers that you're talking about here in the billions of video views, you know, if you look at what you can do online internationally, what you can do and how you can reach people, you know, I'm not going to be the next CNN. I'm not going to be the next ESPN. I'm not going to be the next MTV. I'm going to be 10x CNN. I'm going to be 10x ESPN and 10x MTV, because the numbers now, the video views are now in the billions. And that's the disruption. That's the revolution that's here.
But you're also a brand that can straddle, you know, all sorts of different delivery mechanisms, be that linear or on demand or,
Sure.
or theatrical. And I was reading a blog from last week from a chap called Bob Lefsetz, and this is where I will cheat. It was a flattering blog about Vice, and particularly about you and Tom Freston, which Tom publicly responded to by saying, when you see something as authentic and smart as Vice, it's hard not to get excited or involved. They've developed their voice, they've paid their dues, and got so good at it that they now even have that HBO show, which is sort of a movie trailer for all the work they do online.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. I mean, Tom's a smart guy. He built MTV, and you know, what we do with HBO, which is sort of the gold standard of TV, is advertise. You know, what we're doing with YouTube, what we're doing on our other platforms. You know, because we have, you know, a half-hour show a week, but we do, you know, 30 hours of content a week on all our other platforms.
And they coexist perfectly nicely.
Lovely.
Lovely. 21st Century Fox and Vice. I mean, for many that was a, you know, a startling headline.
You can say weird.
A surprising headline. Can you give us an insight into how it works and what made you, you know, choose that particular investment partner?
Well, it's interesting because if you look at ESPN, MTV, CNN, you know, ESPN sold to Disney, CNN sold to Time Warner, MTV sold to Viacom. Why? Because it's almost impossible to become an international media brand on your own, right? There's carriage issues, there's legal issues, you know, there's a myriad of issues that you have to do in every country you go into. We wanted to stay independent. Now, what happens in media is they want to buy you. So Fox, you know, gave us the entree into India with Star, the entree into Europe with Sky, film, you know, with 20th Century Fox. They helped us, you know, get into all these territories. Yet at the same time, it's a sub 5% investment. You know, so we own the company, we run the company. You know, we own over 80% of the company. I vote 95% of the board. So it's a way of staying independent, yet becoming that fifth media brand, that global media brand.
And giving you some of that traditional infrastructure expertise that you kind of need.
Correct.
So I think to many in this rather large room, you'll be the only CEO of a media company who's also an on-the-ground reporter and journalist. So kudos for wearing those two hats. On a personal basis, how do you manage those two responsibilities at the same time? I mean, it makes you the face of your brand. How can you manage those two roles?
Well, I think that if you want to make cars, you know, you better love cars. You know, if you want to make grommets or shoes, you better love shoes. I love content, right? I'm a content company. So, A, I'm never going to send a reporter somewhere. I'm not going to go myself. B, I have to know how to make every single piece of content that we do, from soup to nuts. How do we shoot it? How do we cut it? How do we put it up? How do we activate it? Otherwise, I shouldn't be running a content company. And since you know, we are a content company, that's what I do. And then the other half of it is to try to make that work and to try to grow audience and make money.
Interesting. So on your travels, which are varied and usually quite extraordinary, you know, you go to some quite incredible places. I remember over dinner a few months ago, we were talking about Greenland,
Mm-hmm.
which is scarier than it seems.
You wouldn't think Greenland would be scarier than Afghanistan, for example. But it is for me, because what you see happening in Greenland, which is sort of the thermometer of the world, is that it's melting. And it's melting at an extraordinary rate. In fact, the IPCC report came out last week or a week and a half ago, which was saying that we're now 60 years ahead of the worst case scenario projections. And within Greenland alone, there's fully 24 feet of sea level rise. Greenland will melt. It's just a question of how fast. So we're going to have 24 feet of sea level rise. We just don't know. It could be 200 years, it could be 100 years, it could be 50 years. So to me, when I look at that, I sort of say, where are all the adults? You know, why isn't somebody doing something about this? Why isn't somebody saying something about this? And then I realized, oh, I have one of the largest youth platforms in the world. I have to say something about this, because unless we do something about this, we're all screwed.
And it's in Gen Y's interest, best interest to get to the truth.
The bill has been delivered, and Gen Y has to pay it. They're paying for the sins of us.
So just to,
this is getting very heavy.
Just so we can switch to and close on a positive note, because that is rather terrifying. You launched a new brand yesterday.
Yes, we launched Munchies yesterday. We're very excited about it. We saw that the generation, Gen Y, that goes out the most, that eats the most, that parties the most, there's no real programming for food for Gen Y, and we're not reinventing the wheel. It's young people doing young things, and it's been extraordinarily successful, and on YouTube actually with our new stars like Eddie Wong and well, we have a bunch of, but anyway, it's fantastic. We just launched. Check it out, munchies.tv.
That's perfect. Well, Shane, thank you so much for joining me, and to everyone here, thanks so much for coming.
Vive la France!
Vive la France.